because this is something what I want to develop. Uh, Here we are supposed to demonstrate the radio buttons. Now radio buttons is something that you give for two or more options, and you make sure that user can select only one of them. Let's say here there are four options are there. I can select only one. The moment I select the second one, the first one is unchecked. So this will ensure that only one out of more than two answers can be selected. And once I select done with all the questions, I'm going to click on the submit button. And when I submit, it should go to the next page saying that the submission successful. We will contact you soon and so on. Any message you want to type, you can type it here. I kept it simple. So this is the visualization I want to have. That is at the top one title, then name, email ID, contact number. And after that, 3 or 4 questions. Each question will have a more than two options, and finally one submit button. Okay, we'll start with the file. Go to the new, select new project, empty, next, give any name. I'll give the name as a test radio buttons. You can give the program name, select Android 5.0, select language as Java, and then finish. We need to create a resource file. So I'm just going to open the res folder. In that resource, strings.xml. Now here, if you observe the previous app, you will see that we have one title, name, ID, contact number, and then 3 questions, and each question has 4 options. So we have to create resource file which contain all this information. I've already done that one, so I'm just going to copy paste and then I'll explain what it is. Okay, in the resources, that is strings.xml, the first is the app name. I've given the radio button demo, string title, the personality check, the name, email ID, mobile. And after that, Q number one, that is question number one. And then I have given the question number itself, that is 1 dot select 2024. So that is the question. And then I have to give the 4 options. So all the 4 options are given here. As you can see, Q1 OP1, that is question 1 option 1, 0044, Q1 OP2 2044, Q1 OP3 2024, Q1 OP4 0024. So I have one question, 4 options. The same way I'm going to create 2 more questions. Question number 2, and then the question number 2 I have mentioned here. Again 4 options, Q2 OP1, Q2 OP2, Q2 OP3, Q2 OP4. And then add this string. Change the font size also. Let's say 24. And then again resize it. Okay. This one is done. Then one more text for name. Change the font size to 18. Change the text. Then bind it from 2 directions, one from horizontal and one from vertical. Then add one plain text next to that one so that we can enter some data. Text property, you remove it, bind it from 2 directions. Name is done. Next is contact or email. Change the font size. Then add one plain text next to that one. Remove the text. This one also I didn't remove the name. And bind it from two directions. Next one is mobile number. Go to the text property and add the mobile number using the add and bind it from two directions. Change the font size to 18. Add one plain text. Remove the text. Bind it. So this much is done. Now we are supposed to add the questions. We'll add the first text view. Resize it so that it can fit the complete question. Get the question using the ampersand symbol and then look for the question number 1. Yeah, here it is. When you type that one, the first question will appear here. Bind it from two directions, one from horizontal, one from the vertical. Change the font size to minimum 18. Now, when you want to deal with the radio buttons, there are two types. One is a radio button and one is a radio group. Now, if you want to make sure that only one out of more than one option, you should be able to choose. In that case, you have to group that one. Then only it will work as a radio button. Otherwise, it will work as a checkbox. So for that, what you're supposed to do is that first thing is that you're supposed to add a radio group. Remember this one. First, you add a radio group to the form, resize it. Okay. Bind it. Yes, I'm going to bind it from top and left sides. Now, this is the radio group, and inside this radio group, you're supposed to add the radio buttons. 4 buttons I'm supposed to add. You just drag and drop. By default, it will take, sorry, wait. Yeah, 1 button is added, 2 button is added. It will be placed next to each other. That is one below the other. So you don't have to worry about binding them separately, all the buttons. You just have to drag and drop. Add 4 buttons. Done. Now select the first radio button. Go to the text property, ampersand, question 1, option 1. Select that one. Select the second radio button. Go to the text property, add the option 1, question 1, option 2. Go to the third one. Go to the text property, question 1, option 3. The last one, go to the text property, question 1, option 4. Done. Now, as you can see that I've added only one question and the form is already ended. Now there are different ways of doing the coding part of this one. I'm going to show you the simplest one. Later on, when we go to the few more, when we're done with the few more programs, I'll teach you another different way of dealing with the same issue. Okay. Now, as you can see here, there are 2 lines are here. When you move the cursor shape will change. If you have the mouse somewhere else, the shape is changed, but here it is changing. All you have to do is that you just have to click the mouse and drag it. Now, when you click it, you will see that there are different mobile models are mentioned here. Nexus 5 is appearing, Pixel 2, Pixel 3, Pixel X4. So you just have to make sure that you maintain the same. The perpendicular line is given. So that is the width of that particular mobile handset. You have already installed one virtual machine. You have to pick the same thing. So I have installed the Pixel 3 XL. So I'm going to pick that one and I'm going to just drag it to the downside as much as I want. And I'm going to make sure that I'll end or I'll resize it to the same perpendicular line which is shown to the Pixel 3 XL. Now the font size has been increased. Now I can add more things here. Okay. Once you resize it, please make sure that when you're resizing it, you are resizing according to the virtual machine, that virtual mobile model you have installed. Okay. When you click on that one, you will see that different mobile models are given there. Make sure that that perpendicular line you maintain there. If I leave it here, that will be Nexus 5. This is Pixel 3. This is Pixel XL. Okay. Now, once you've done that one, you can just zoom it, which will help you to design the remaining thing. Now you can just scroll it. Okay. Now question 1 is done. Now I'm going to add the question 2. Any doubt in this one? Okay, fine. So I'm going to add the second question. The same procedure. Go to the text property, add the question 2 using the ampersand symbol. Look for that question number 2. Here it is. Find it from 2 directions, one from the left or right, or one from the top. And go to the text size, change it to 18 minimum. And after that, add radio group. Once you add the radio group, you resize it. Place it, bind it. Once the radio group 2 is done, you add the radio buttons inside that one. First button is added, second button is added, third one is added, fourth one is added. If you want, you can resize it. Okay. Now select the first radio button and go to the text property and change the text. That is question 2 option 1. Second radio button. 2 option 2. Third radio button. 2 option 3. Last one. And 2 option 4. Done. Now I'm going to add one more question. So again, go to the text, add text view. Resize it. Go to the text property, add the question number 3. Find it from 2 directions, one vertical and one horizontal. Go to the text size, change it to 18 minimum so that it will be visible. After that, add one radio group. Resize that radio group. Once you resize it, bind it from 2 directions. After that, add 4 radio buttons inside that radio group. You just have to drag and drop just below the first one so that they will be placed just one above the other. Okay. Now select the first radio button, go to the text property, add the option question 3 option 1. Next one, question 3 option 2. Next is question 3, option 3. Last one is question 3, option 4. Done. Now I'll add one submit button. Find it from two directions, one from the top, one from the either left or right. Now if you want, you can resize the window also, otherwise you can leave it. It's left to you. Okay. I'm just going to note down what is the button number. Okay, I'm going to change the ID of this button to PTN submit. Refactor done. Now if you run this one, we'll see that 3 questions will appear. Okay, 3 questions are coming. First name, ID, contact number, and then 3 questions. You can see I can select only one at a time. But the problem here is that I'm not able to scroll it. Even though I have designed everything, I'm not able to scroll it here now because that scrollable thing is not done yet. So that we have to change it. Even though here in the design part you can scroll it, but when you run it, that scroll is not working. So for that, you have to go back to the coding part and we have to see this one. The first thing is that we need to have the scrollable thing, and that scrollable thing has to be for the complete form. So once all the design part is done, then we have to add the scrollable. So start with this one, add the scroll view. This constraint layout you can remove from here. Put from here and put it just before the first text box. Okay. Anyway, the Android width and height we need. So I'm just going to copy the same thing here and I'll paste it here. So this height, we have to change it to wrap content. So and here I'm closing the constraint layout. So the constraint layout is done. Scroll view is started here, but the scroll view we haven't ended at the here the constraint layout is ended, but not the scroll view. So we have to add this one. Yeah. Let's run the program and check whether that scroll is working or not. Now this scroll is working. And also only one radio button at a time I can select because all of them have been grouped. And when I click the submit button, nothing is working because I haven't written any code for that one. So let me start. Okay, we'll do one thing. We will add one more page. And when we click on that submit button, you should go to the second page. So right click on the layout, select new, select activity, select empty activity. And here you can give the name as a second page. Click on finish. And in the second page, go back to the design part, and here we will simply add one text box, one label at the center, resize it. Anyway, we have added one print statement, welcome to page. That content is already there, so I'm just going to add that one. Change the font size, that's text size, to around 30. Resize it. Okay. Now come back to the main page, main activity.java. The first thing is that we have to bind from design part to the this one coding part. So that is, I'm going to create one object of type button, and using the find view by ID along with r.id dot, the ID of the button I have given, I'm going to map it. So this is how we are binding, we are creating a link between the design part as well as to the coding part. So from now onwards, if you want to refer anything related to the submit button in the design part, you have to use this submit object. Now here we are not decoding what option the user has selected. That will make the program a little complicated. So here all I'm trying to do is that when you click on that submit button, it should go to the next page. So that is submit the button dot set on click listener, new view on click listener. So here we are supposed to write the intent. So the first is that you have to create an object of the type intent in, where we are mentioning the source and the destination. So main activity dot this is the source, and the second page dot class is the destination part, where you want to go, what is your intent, and then you have to start that activity. So for that start activity, one method is there. All you have to do is that you have to pass the intent object in. That is, you are at the main activity, that first page, and your intent is to go to the second page. Now we'll run the program and we'll check what will happen. So I'm just going to write some data. Select some answers. And I'm going to click the submit button. When I click on that one, it is going to the next page. So this is how the radio button works. First you have to add the radio group, and inside the radio group you have to add the radio buttons. You cannot directly use the radio button, because once you do that, if you do that one, then each radio button will work independently, just like a checkbox.